Once again, we're here with you. We are the Roto Hackers, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for showing up. If you are watching now, if not, you're lost. You can't hear me news. Anyways, I have this man over here, AJ Herschel, the kid. And guys, this is a treat. We have the stud. It's Jared. Sorry.
Is it really a treat? I mean, a treat's kind of something special, and I'm here every week, so I don't know.
It's always a treat when you're here.
That was the joke, Jared. All right, so we have some stuff. We have some content to do today, because we've had a few, drafting is back, baby. Gotta put and we gotta go at 10.
Sort of.
It's sort of back, right? Yeah, but we got to talk about that, and we also want to update our rankings based on. There's a lot that's happened since the last time we did rankings talk, and I looked at my rankings today, and they don't look too bad. I changed some things around. I did, but I'm sure mine are going to be different than your guys's. So I'm anxious to compare and talk about it. So. Is there any news that we should cover before we move forward? I was trying to look for some, but I didn't see much. So,
I mean, Prince Amukamara got signed by Oakland because I refused to call them Las Vegas, but that's about it.
Why do you?
I'm in denial. They belong in Oakland, man. The Chargers belong in San Diego.
Okay,
that's where they belong. That's where they belong. I'm in denial. The Chicago fan is in denial about teams across the country. Yes.
Well, did anything come up for you guys as far as things that we might have missed as far as the schedule goes? Did you guys have any thoughts? Did anything come up in the news or that struck your fancy somehow about schedules?
I think for me, I think I covered everything that I.
Here.
Okay, well, I'm glad we went through that because Jared and I were able to. Jared popped on. I was at work, but I'm always on the internet. I do social media for my business, so I'm just constantly on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. And he popped up and is like, "Hey, I'm about to go into a draft." I'm like, "A draft? What?" He sent me the link. I'm like,
Best ball.
Best ball. So best ball is you draft, and it's you just draft this huge team and
20 roster spots.
20 roster spots. You've got what, like 12 people on your bench, something like that, 11, 10, something like that. And
I don't remember how that. Let's see. The starting spots are quarterback, 3 receivers, 2 running backs, tight end, flex, and defense.
Okay.
Yeah, and then there's So anyways, and then once you draft, that's your team, and they just an algorithm puts your best players for each position. If you have too many injuries, you just don't have anybody in that position. Wow. So you have to think about people that you need to back up, and I didn't think enough about. But anyways, it was fun, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. I actually did another one today.
Me too.
Yeah. I love this team. I want to share it with you guys. Here, let me see. You guys tell me what you think. Actually, I use your strategy, Jared, in as far as I got. Thomas fell to me. I was pick 7. I'm always getting pick 7 and 8 these days. All right,
that sounds like me in my fantasy history.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I got my first pick was Michael, Michael Thomas.
Nice.
And then I went Josh Jacobs. I've been getting so much Josh. I can tell I'm gonna have a lot of Josh Jacobs this year because I have him really high in the rankings, and I guess everybody just doesn't. So hey, that's fine with me. I'll take all I can get. So I got 3 real good. I don't know if it'll be enough, but I got 3 real good quarterbacks, and I think it's a strong stable of Wide receivers, I like having AJ Green is kind of my backup. Golden Tate's not bad. I wish that would be like. I wish I had Shepard instead, but you never know. And then my running back. See, I don't have enough though. I always think I need at least one more solid one, because I always think, oh, 3. One of these guys, but all 3 of my top guys could easily get injured. And then what am I going to do? I'm going to be depending on Darius Geis. So, and then I overcorrected because last time I didn't get very many strong tight ends. This time I got too many. I probably should have just stuck with 3.
Yeah, four's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I got 2 solid defenses. I'm trying. Last year, or not last year, 2 years ago, best ball, I tried to get 4 defenses, hoping that I would. Yeah, because you know how like my thought was defenses, depending on their schedule, can have huge games, fair. And you just if you hit, anyways. But it's a waste.
I did 3 defenses in both of the leagues that I drafted, because I just felt like, I could take a stab at a wide receiver or something at that point in the 15th or the 20th round or something. Yeah. But what realistically are the chances? I already had 3 quarterbacks. What realistically are the chances that a wide receiver there or a running back there is going to help me? And so I did take 3 defenses both times for that, reason that you're talking about, like that, because defenses, getting points from your defense is so often just about matchups, and so I just felt like, 3 gives me better odds of, one of them having a great matchup each week. So I did that both times. I really like that team. I think that's a really good team.
I would like it way better if it was a redraft league.
What was the money on the league?
That was like $5 league.
Oh, that's too bad. That's because that's a good team.
Yeah, I'm hoping to up the ante a little bit, but I want to do a couple more, get in the flow of things, because there was a couple times this was the best strategy, going Michael Thomas, then I got Josh Jacobs and Gurley, and I felt really good about my team at that point. And so it gave me more freedom to kind of look, okay, what quarterback's coming up, what tight end. I could have upgraded on tight end a little bit, but it's tough, man, because if you upgrade on a tight end, you spend like a high rank on them. I almost feel like it's better to go heavy wide receivers since they don't get hurt as much. Or they do get hurt, but
they're shorter injuries typically.
It seems like they're less violent injuries, right?
Yeah. One thing I learned is that, like when we did our league, I got to my 6th running back. I tried to take a 7th one, and it said, no, you can't have more than 6.
Wow.
So I was like,
I didn't know that.
Oh, well, that's convenient. I probably wouldn't have taken more than 7, but I had Chris Carson, and I was going to take Rashad Penny, and I couldn't.
I want to take a look at your team on that one. Let's see, because you have a really good team in that one.
Yeah, I like that team.
Let's see. I'll go to my league here, and then see if I can find you. JP, right? Yeah, JP. So yeah, look at this. I think I'm a little scared about your wide receiver top there, but your backups are like solid,
Yeah.
And then I think this is. Sony Michel, Latavius Murray. I don't know if.
Yeah, I wouldn't have taken Latavius if I had known that there was a cap on running backs. But
Zach Moss, that's real good.
Yeah, he's probably more like my 4 or 5, number 4 or 5 running back. But yeah, I wouldn't have taken Latavius because if Kamara gets hurt or something, then he's a beast. But if not, then I would probably rather had penny or something. So
Yeah, it's interesting because since it's a best ball, I found myself looking at what do you call it? The bye weeks, and that's rough, man. Week 6 and week 10. I found like most of my guys are like.
Yeah, I saw somebody else talking about this where I guess there's 1 week where only like 2 teams have a bye or
That might
something
be
like
week
that.
4.
And then there's another week where I guess 6 have a bye, in order to balance it out. So, yeah.
Yeah, this is my team in that league. I'm top heavy though. Again, I should always get the full 6. I don't know why I always kind of scrimp on the.
I like your wide receiver depth though.
Yeah,
that's pretty solid there.
Pretty solid. I was surprised to get Kirk. It was like in the 10th round or something, or even lower.
He is the third wide receiver, but still, just one of them goes down.
Yeah. And then I think these guys are going to have. I mean, any one of these could have a huge game every week.
Yeah.
Yeah, to have Dak and Allen too, you're gonna be between the two of those. You're gonna have a lot of points.
Now, if Henry goes down, you know what is smart is to get the handcuffs. I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think ideally, if you can get 3 good running backs and then get the handcuffs to them would be.
I think we should do a session, episode on handcuffs, because I think it's really interesting now with all the just kind of going over at this point guesses of who the handcuffs are going to be, because it's really interesting with all the rookies. All right, did you want to point out anything about this or talk about the drafting process for you, Jared?
Let's see. I was just gonna say that let's see if I can find this here. That's the wrong one. Give me a second.
I was surprised at your Chris Godwin pick. That was like 3 or something, right?
It was the 3rd round, and I debated Galladay. Like I thought about Galladay, and then I thought, Godwin was so good last year. I'm gonna stick with him. So I did debate taking Galladay over him, but didn't pull the trigger on it. Let's see.
How do you feel about your Saquon? Because that's where if I had you had the 2nd pick, right? That's second. A hard choice.
That is a hard choice, and I might have, if I did debate like Henry, taking Henry there, but I just decided
Henry fell to me at 8th in the 8th pick.
Yeah, wow. I would have loved to have had that at the 8th pick. I was just gonna say like it showed us our projected stats, and so
where do you go for that?
I don't know if it's. I don't know if it's still. I'm not sure if it's still up there. I screen capped it. So Judah came in 3rd at 3670.64 projected points, and I came in 4th at 3631.05. So a difference of less than 40 points. And I told him that I'm pretty sure that's probably within the margin of error for those projections. And so, I'm gonna be ahead of him, but that's probably just within the margin of error.
So why do they have this? What is this? They have you way ahead of me.
Well, maybe it's changed since then. Because the ones that I had screen capped right after the draft.
You showed me, yeah.
Yeah, had you in 3. Well, I guess they corrected them, like what it would be more likely to be. Like they probably were off. They were probably off initially. This makes more sense because I was looking at that going, no, that doesn't make it. Now this makes more sense.
We'll see. We'll see. We get to play these out, big boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, look, it's best ball. It's my first team in it. So,
all right. AJ, what do you got to say about all this? Do you want to get in on the next one?
Sure. I've never done best ball before, so hearing about this isn't almost entirely new to me. But yeah, if you're ever doing the next one, text me. But yeah, that's oh my goodness. I just keep looking at those wide receivers, and even though I'm not a huge fan of Odell, I just see Odell, Cooper, Metcalf, Brown, Edelman. I'm like, that's good. I love that wide receiving core.
I'm
so
excited
much.
because I kept the presence of mind. I always forget because I'll go for my favorites, and I thought, no, I gotta go for who I think will explode. You know, they don't have to explode every week, but like every now and then get real huge games. You know.
mm-hmm.
And I think that Marquise Brown and Metcalf and Cup are the type that could have, and Beckham. But you guys don't believe that. All right. That's enough about that. Do you guys want to talk rankings?
Works for me.
Sure.
Do either of you guys have your rankings up and ready to go?
I'm finishing typing up mine, so if one of you guys wants to go first.
Let's see. I can, if you don't want to go first, Judah.
I just talked about this.
Well, you didn't talk about your rankings.
Oh, yeah, I guess so. All right, well, let's see. I got mine ready to go, so I'll just... Roto hacker hanging in here. Okay, so... I didn't do... Were we supposed to do top 100 aggregated or no?
Oh,
I didn't do aggregate.
Huh?
I did individual positions.
Okay, good. Okay, good.
Oh, I did. I did aggregate.
Oh, you
All right,
did
there
aggregate.
We got a little bit of everything today, then.
Yeah.
I should do an aggregate, but so the only ones I switched around, I put Dak higher. I'm liking him more and more. And I put Breeze a little lower. Matt Ryan.
Josh Allen at 3?
I just think he's gonna. I mean, they have a great schedule.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a full, just like got tons of good skill players around him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. I'm really liking. He could be next year's Lamar. I don't know. I really like him, so I'm putting him high. I reserve the right to knock him down later when I hate him, but yeah, I put Rodgers in because why not? I love Rodgers, and I put Murray up higher, and Stafford. Bump them up. Okay. They probably could both go higher. I just can't allow myself to do it. I really need to bump Christian McCaffrey down, but I can't do it.
It's Christian McCaffrey.
What'd I say?
No, you're like, I can't push him down. And I'm like, yeah, it's Christian McCaffrey.
Oh, yeah. I put Alvin Kamara up. I think Cook fell down a little bit. And Todd Gurley way up. He just shot up for me. And Fournette shot down. Joe Mixon shot down. Aaron Jones shot down. And Melvin Gordon, too, because they still haven't resolved that situation there. I'm just, whenever it comes to pulling the trigger on him, I'm like, I'll go Devin Singletary, I'd rather go with any of these guys.
Interesting.
Any thoughts on QB?
Josh Allen, this is really, really high for my taste. Like, I keep looking at that, and I'm like, third. I think he could do really well, especially with his running ability. It's just like above Prescott and Ryan. That's a little bit high for me, but I can get with a lot of this. That's really good. I like it.
I'm tempted to put Ryan higher. It's just He's Matt Ryan, man.
Yeah, apart from his like blow up year with Kyle Shanahan, he's been good, but I don't know. Let's see.
You'd probably put him lower, huh?
I would put him lower. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I might. He's got so,
yeah, there's no excuse. There's no excuse.
Even his offensive line is better this year. It's hard for me to see him screwing it up.
Yeah.
But you're right. He is older. I don't know.
He never plays that great on the road.
You're right.
That's an issue for with the best ball stuff. Going back to that for a second, so much of that is about format, and the best ball stuff. There's guys that in that league that we did, I drafted Breeze, Stafford, and I think Roethlisberger was my other one, and those are guys, that's a situation where you can afford to go like more boom bust type guys. Really, it kind of almost rewards you for drafting those types of guys. So,
for sure.
And so, Breeze can have such big games at home. Roethlisberger can have such big games at home that I felt good about both those guys, because if you've got one of them at home, you've got a pretty good chance of coming out with a blow up game from one of them. So.
Well, that's Ryan's, why I was glad that we went over the schedule thing, because I kind of went for teams that I knew had better schedules,
Yeah.
But I think it would be really helpful to look particularly at the home away split to get somebody who offsets another person,
Yeah.
What were you going to say about Breeze or Brian or what was?
Oh, not me. Nothing. I don't know.
AJ? No. Mm-mm. Okay, what do you guys think about Alvin Kamara being so high?
Jared, you want to take that first?
The only thing I really kind of quibble with is putting him above
Cook,
Dalvin Cook. Although, actually, let's see, you forgot Josh Jacobs, didn't you?
That's your guy.
That's my.
You forgot your guy.
Oh man.
Take this one out.
So yeah. So I would put Jacobs. I would potentially. I have a hard time. I think. Well, I don't really want to spoil my rankings, but yeah, okay. I would put Kamara behind Cook for sure. And I'm not even sure about maybe one or two other guys, because there's just multiple issues there for me that Kamara. The fact that he's, that they used Latavius Murray a good bit more, the fact that Kamara's second season statistics were so like touchdown dependent. Not just touchdown dependent, but that was part of the reason he was as high as what he was. And so that was always going to crash back to earth. And then, just the fact that they are so squirrely at the goal line, they'll put Taysom Hill in, or they'll have Latavius Murray in there.
Yeah.
And, so Kamara just scares me. For me, you're gonna find some of my stuff interesting.
Okay.
But for me, like Kamara, you look at his season 2, his 2018 stats, and he had 18 touchdowns. He still had a ton of yards because he had so many catches. But last year, he dropped off. He still had 81 catches, but he just didn't have the yards. He didn't have the touchdowns. I guess people are just banking on a resurgence on touchdowns. I would probably still put him ahead of
Jacobs, Cook.
I would put him ahead of Jacobs. I wouldn't put him ahead of Cook. So,
Gotcha. I think I might drop him a little bit. You know what influenced me the most is that he goes so high in these drafts we're doing. I can't ever get him at 7 or 8.
Yeah.
I think I was just thinking, man, if I'm going to take him, I'm going to have to take him early. And I like him. So, and unfortunately, that influences my rankings too much. AJ, what do you think?
I like Kamara a lot because the Saints theoretically are, to me, just too good to not be great. And Latavius Murray, I remember last year was one of my biggest handcuffs of the year. And my prediction of him being the Mark Ingram to Kamara was completely off, but I was right about him blowing up when Kamara wasn't there. Yeah. I don't think he's nipping at Kamara's heels as much. I think Kamara solidly got the number 1. I mean, if he goes, I think the biggest thing for me is if he goes down again, if he gets injured again, because then Latavius Murray is the greatest handcuff in the league, in my opinion. So that's the only thing that worries me. I'm okay. I'm cool with Dalvin Cook. I'm a little bit. It's Chubb. I think that's a little bit low for me because even below Miles Sanders, that's the thing. I'm like,
I'm
really
excited about Miles, man.
You have been.
Yeah, I don't. I probably should switch those two. I'm probably going to, but it's hard for me to do. I am really excited about Sanders. I just don't see anybody. The way they're constructing the team, I know they like to go with a committee, but I don't know if Boston Scott. I think he'll take some of the goal line. Yeah. So I don't know. I'll probably put him down a little bit. All right, can we see somebody else's?
Yep, I can do mine. Let's see.
All right.
Let
me take mine off here. Can you share yours?
Yeah, hopefully it won't crash. Let's see.
It's so funny hearing you guys' comments about this one. Y'all are gonna have a bunch of questions come my rankings. I feel like.
Really?
I think so. I think I'm going to say a lot. Let me explain myself.
Okay.
Can you see my?
There we are.
Yeah.
There we go.
All right. Nice.
So you may have to zoom in a little bit, but
yeah.
No, I see. It's fine. Okay.
All right.
So so this is just
top 30.
Top 30. I was going to do top 25, and then I tacked on 5 more. So I might those top 4 or 5 are going to be after McCaffrey. You're going to kind of be probably
interchangeable.
Yeah, I ended up just deciding. I was trying to think okay, if this was a real draft today, if I was paying $100 Yahoo season-long league, who would I be most likely to take? It might be Elliott. That Cowboys offense, is just they've got. I mean, even with losing Travis Frederick, their offensive line is still good. They have Dak at quarterback. They've got Andy Dalton backing him up if something happens to Dak. They've got Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, CeeDee Lamb. There's, I think, just going to be a lot of opportunities for Zeke to score.
Okay.
So, it was hard. It was hard to put him over Henry and Barkley because Henry was such a monster last year and is that offense. But say if Tannehill comes back to earth this year, or Henry gets hurt, or I'm a little bit afraid of him not being able to kind of match the production he had. But the Titans' schedule is good. I mean, I think you can make a legitimate case for Henry being that number 2 running back. And then you got Saquon Barkley, who's the most talented of the 3.
Yeah.
He's the best dual threat of the 3, but then he's got the toughest schedule. And so those 3 are the toughest ones. It's like rock, paper, scissors, So those 3 were the tough ones. After that, it wasn't that hard for me because, or for the next couple picks, because I mean, Michael Thomas and Devontae Adams, I think, are two of the absolute safest players you can get. You know, they're like the clear top tier of wide receivers this year. If they stay healthy, they're going to catch 100 balls. They're going to have probably Thomas might not have double-digit touchdowns. Adams would have double-digit touchdowns, but Thomas is going to make up for it in all the balls he catches, yardage. And to me, like I buy into the motto. You can't win your draft in the first round, but you can lose your draft in the first round, and not just the first round, but the first 2 or 3 rounds. You can blow those picks. And so I think, obviously there's a difference in a somewhat of a difference in some of the upsides here, but to me, I'm just more inclined to go safer earlier. And Dalvin Cook, just as talented as he is, and as many good games as he had early on last year, he got hurt and he just wasn't the same play. He has a hard time staying healthy. So I couldn't take him over those. It gets down to about pick 7 before I can be like, okay, here's where I feel more comfortable taking him based on the talent and the workload that he's going to get.
Right.
Whereas some people have him at 2, some people have him the number 2 ranked player. Some of the experts. And then 8, this was a little more like, I like Kenyon Drake.
That was my biggest question right there.
So here's the thing, like, here's what he did in Arizona. When he went to Arizona for 8 games, he had 120. This was 8 games, 123 carries, 643 yards and 8 touchdowns plus 28 receptions for 171 yards. So if you project that out over 16 games, you're looking at about 1,300 rushing yards, 16 touchdowns, 55 to 60 catches, and 300 and something receiving yards. That was last year. This year, you have Kyler Murray in year 2.
Yep.
And you have them adding DeAndre Hopkins. So again, like, looking at the offense, like he's a clear-cut number 1 running back, and he's in a stud offense. So those are the 2 things that kind of factored in for me there. And then Kamara, who I bumped down below Drake because of, the things I mentioned before with Kamara. The Saints just get weird around the goal line. They're running Taysom Hill. They're putting Latavius Murray in. I don't know, exactly what that's going to look like.
Yeah.
So I feel like he's less of a sure thing. 10 through 12 are kind of interesting for me. So I put Travis Kelce at 10, and
that's high.
It's high. It's high, but last year he was going pretty often, like around 11 or 12. He's bumped down a few spots, maybe 3, 4, or 5 spots this year. He's kind of looked at as maybe more like a number 15 pick. But my reasoning for putting him that high is he basically gives you, like wide receiver 1 production as a tight end. And I know the tight end landscape has changed. It's a lot deeper, but he was down on touchdowns last year. He still had 97 receptions. He had over 1,200 yards, but he only had 5 touchdowns. The two previous years, he had 10. And then in 2017, he had 8, but he missed a game. So you're looking at, he had nearly half of the touchdowns that he normally has. I mean, if a guy is getting you catching 100 balls for 1,200 plus yards and nearly double-digit touchdowns, I mean, that's wide receiver 1, let alone tight end. So to me, and he's missed in 6 seasons, he's missed 1 game. And maybe this is the year. Maybe this is the year he gets hurt. Hopefully, I didn't jinx him. But
hopefully for AJ,
please don't.
But you look at that Kansas City offense. If Mahomes is healthy, it's going to go. and he's still going to be, a huge. I mean, he's by far the biggest guy they have. Tyreek Hill's the other option. Their running backs are small, so like in that red zone, like he's a big target. So I don't have any problem putting him over DeAndre Hopkins going to a new team. And we've talked about wide receivers sometimes struggling, even in the best scenarios where they go to a new team, let alone when we don't know what kind of offseason we're going to have for them to get acclimated to their new quarterback. Julio, who is allergic to touchdowns, Julio is going to give you tremendously solid production, but he went through another one of those spells last year where he scored 4 of his 6 touchdowns in the first 3 games. From week 4 on, he had touchdowns in 1 game.
Wow.
In the final 13 games, he had 2 touchdowns, but they were both in the same game.
Well, can we pause that real quick because AJ's got to go soon? Can we compare that to AJ's?
Oh yeah. Sorry, I forgot he was gonna.
No, don't worry about it.
Let's come back to this. Let's compare it. AJ, you ready to share yours?
Yes, I've got mine down. Let me just zoom in on it a little more for you guys, so it won't be super tiny.
Because I think that yours is going to look quite different than both of ours.
Probably so. Zoom in a little more. Okay, cool.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah. Let's go.
No, sorry. If you have something to say, you can go ahead.
No, let's see it.
All right. So
I got to go in 2 minutes.
Yeah, I did not get to what's called ranking kickers and defenses, and I started tight end, so I can tell you guys that. So quarterbacks, I've got Lamar Jackson at number 1. I've got Patrick Mahomes at number 2. I've got Matt Ryan at number 3.
Wow.
Hear me out. There's number 1. I think they just have too much firepower for Ryan not to be throwing touchdowns this year. Like, the Falcons are getting better, and I know that their coaching staff is still a mess or whatever, but I believe in the power of the Falcons right here. 4, Kyler Murray. I'm super high on him. I'm going to put the money where my mouth is. I really like Arizona this year a lot.
Wow, Tom Brady too.
5 Russell Wilson at Seattle. I think he's going to start the first year. So like first 10 weeks are the reason why he's at 6, because he usually tapers off. Jared, like you said last episode. Brady at 6. I'm high on Tampa. I would switch him out with Dak. Honestly, I think they could go either way. I've got Matthew Stafford at 8. I think Detroit's going to be really good. I've got Josh Allen at 9. I think he's going to be really good. I think these like top 10 quarterbacks are going to score a lot of points. Deshaun Watson at 10. I don't know what he's going to do. I've got Breeze at 11. I've got Roethlisberger at 12 because he's running out of weapons. Daniel Jones at 13. Wentz at 14. Goff at 15. Garoppolo is going to be fine at 16. Baker Mayfield, I'm still mad. He's at 17.
I'm surprised you have Tannehill so low.
Tannehill's at 18 because I think Henry is still going to be the main focus of the offense. And I think Tannehill is going to be a better player for the Titans over than he's a good start for your fantasy team. I think he could be good in a lot of really good passing matchups, but I just don't know if he's going to score as many points as he did last year. I don't trust Rodgers. He's at 19. I've got Cousins at 20, Locke at 21, and 22 Phillip Rivers. So have a field day. Have a field day with that.
I'm too distracted by the running backs and
oh boy.
Why?
The disrespect to Chris Carson.
Okay. Yep. All right. Hear me out. Here's number 2. Hear me out. So I've got McCaffrey at 1. I've got Henry at 2. I've got Saquon at 3. I've got Zeke at 4. And this is kind of with the Julio argument of he gets a lot of yards, but not a lot of touchdowns. So, and he doesn't really catch passes that much. And
Who?
Zeke.
He's extremely healthy too.
Oh, he's very healthy. That's part of the reason why he's up at 4. I've got Chubb at 5. I think he'll still be really good and very consistent, if nothing else. I've got Kamara at 6. I've got Aaron Jones at 7. He's knocked down a bunch of spots. And Dalvin Cook is at 8. Hear me out.
Why do you have Aaron Jones above Dalvin Cook?
Hear me out. Yes, Jones is in a competitive backfield, but I don't trust Dalvin Cook. I don't trust his knees. at all. He's been injured for 3 years straight, and that's not something I'm willing to take a risk on. I think he's a great player, but I think his knees are so banged up that I can't put him above these other guys. Even though I know he's in the starting role, I just have a hunch that he's going to get injured, and it would hurt me. 9, I've got Josh Jacobs in Oakland. I've got 10, Austin Eckler. 11, I've got Gurley. 12, I've got Fournette. 13, I've got Joe Mixon. 14, I've got Singletary. 15, I've got Kenyon. 16, Miles Sanders. 17, Melvin Gordon. I think I might drop him some spots. 18, Le'Veon. 19, David Johnson. 20, Chris Carson. And 21, David Montgomery. I'm worried about Chris Carson. I am. I think he'll be really good. And honestly, I did put him pretty low. So I'll put him up. I'd probably put him up above Sanders, honestly. Now that I'm looking at this, I'd bump him up. But he worries me a lot. I'm worried about the injury a little bit. I don't think it's that concerning. I don't know if he's fixed his fumble problem 100%. He worries me, but I'd put him above Sanders re-looking at this, though. I like Carson a lot, and I think for like a 6th-round pick, I'd take him for sure, but especially I think a lot of the thing is that a lot of these running backs above him are guaranteed number ones, and that just means a lot, especially with all the other running backs. And you'll see I didn't put Marlon Mack. There's no Swift. There's none of them up here because I don't know what they'll do.
So did Bell fall a lot because of the Gore news, or why is he so low?
It's not so much that. It's because, yes, this is probably the Jets' best chance to make a playoff spot, but I'm worried because he didn't get a bunch of yards last year. They did upgrade their offensive line, but he didn't get a lot of touchdowns, and I think a lot of the guys above him, especially Singletary and Drake, are in better positions and look like they're going to score more points. That's my thing with Le'Veon.
Yeah, he worries me for numerous reasons.
Yeah. But yeah, I know, Jared, you're not happy at Chris Carson down at 20, and
we gotta. I think Chris Carson proved himself last. I mean, even in the Penny, even in the backfield split with Penny, he was still cleaning up. So I gotta have a little loyalty to Chris Carson. I'm mostly a mercenary, but I gotta have a little loyalty to Chris.
Yeah, I think I'm still a little bit salty after he got kind of injured later in the year, but Carson. I'm just looking at this again. I'd move him up above Miles Sanders. I'd put him at 16 right now. His stock might go up for me as the season as the play progresses.
I'm floored at how high you have Chubb. That makes me want to puts me to shame for my Chubb love. I need to put him higher.
I may have him lower than either of you because I've got him. Well, but let's see. Out of my running backs, let's see. He's my running back. 5, 6,
Share yours again. I want to see yours
9.
again.
Well, hang on. So, so I've got Chubb at like RB12.
Wow.
Whoa!
Because second round
because of Kareem Hunt. Because again, with let me give you a quick little Nick Chubb stat here. This is what scares me away from Nick Chubb. If Kareem Hunt wasn't there, I would have him 4 or 5 probably. But in the final, let's see, 4, 5, 6.
Wait, we want to.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Just adding.
So the last 10 games, Chubb scored a touchdown in 2 of them, and he only had more than 26 receiving yards once, and he only had more than 1 catch in, let's see, 1, 2, like 3 or 4 of those. I mean, he never had more than 3 catches, but basically Kareem Hunt started taking away touchdowns and receptions. Yeah. And so he was still getting huge, like 100-yard games and stuff, but no touchdowns or hardly any touchdowns and very few receptions. That's, that just scares me. And what if Kareem Hunt takes more of a share this season? So I don't think Hunt's going to get less than he did last year.
Okay. All right. That's fair. I see that.
What about your wide receivers? We haven't really talked much about wide receivers.
Yeah.
Do you have a chance? Do you have time?
Yeah, I got time. So the wide receivers, these are probably the ones I'm least confident on here. So I've got Michael Thomas at number 1. Easy for me. I've got Hopkins at number 2. Even though he's in a new offense, I really love DeAndre Hopkins.
You are definitely the highest. I forgot we did go over wide receivers with Jared, and Jared, you had him a lot lower than I expected.
Yeah, he scared me a little bit. I mean, yeah, but anyway, we'll stick with AJ's here. But the Devontae, it's too low for Devontae.
I know. Hear me out. Okay, I've got Reek the Freak at 3, but hear me out on Devontae Adams. Okay, there are 3 things in total that scare. First off, yes, he's the undisputed one of Green Bay. I'll give him that. Yes, he's extremely talented. I'll give him that. Here's what concerns me.
Injuries, I know.
Injuries are a little bit hobbling to me. But number 2, all signs point to Green Bay becoming a running team, and that worries me.
Really?
Aaron Jones' stats last year, and probably the biggest thing is the way Green Bay drafted. They went almost entirely offensive line. And they went almost entirely offensive line. They drafted another running back. They didn't get any wide receivers. That worries me because it just tells me that Green Bay is going to be a ground and pound team first.
Couldn't you make the opposite case that since they didn't get any wide receivers, they're really excited about not excited, but they're really confident in the wide receivers they have?
They would be the only people on earth who are confident in the wide receivers that they have. Their wide receivers.
They're the most important ones to have that confidence.
Great. Yeah, but I don't see that really living up to the hype. I mean, I get Adams, but the thing is just like Thomas is my obvious one. I really love Hopkins a lot, and Tyreek Hill is extremely good and the undisclosed number 1 in Kansas City. So Adams is number 4 for me, just because of all that.
True, but Tyreek's the number 1 receiver, but he's also got Kelsey there.
Yeah.
Adams, just the volume for me, like even going to more of a running team, like because they didn't have that many targets, or because they didn't have that many other targets beyond him. So he had double-digit targets now this is counting playoff games. So 9 out of the last 11 games, he had double-digit targets. That's I just follow the targets on that. So I think it would scare me more if there were other receivers there, but I don't know that Funchess is. I don't know how much Funchess is going to make a difference. I mean,
bunches of Funchess.
Yeah.
So Devontae would be the only one that I would kind of
dispute there.
Yeah. Maybe Amari too, but
yeah.
Well, he has Kenny Galladay way higher than you do.
Yeah, what's it called? I don't think that high. Not much higher.
No, because mine was like
because the aggregate.
Yeah, so we basically have Galladay
7.
Well, hang on. Let's see. So I had him as my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh no, I've actually got him as my 6. I think number 6. Yeah.
All right, there we go.
Okay,
there we go.
Let's see where I have mine. Do I even have Galladay? Yeah.
He's 3. He's 3.
Yeah, so I have him the highest.
But yeah, so I've got Julio at 5, Godwin at 6, Galladay at 7. I've got Amari Cooper at 8, just because I think he's still going to be the number 1. I don't know how much impact Lamb's going to have first year, and as of right now, he's the 3rd person in the food chain.
That's high for Cooper.
Yeah,
that's high.
But then it's like a lot of these wide receivers afterwards have major question marks for me. So like Cooper, what's going to happen with Dallas's receiving core? Is he going to be number 1? Cooper Kupp after that. What version of the Rams are we going to see? Are we going to see the Rams for the first 8 games or the Rams who made a playoff push this year? And that worries me for him. Cortland Sutton, is Drew Lock going to hold up in year 2? As much as I love Sutton, as much as I'm high on the Broncos this year. Odell, he got like 7 targets a game, and that's the thing that really worries me about him. Thielen, is Kirk Cousins going to throw the ball for the first 10 weeks? And then Lockett's probably the most consistent bet out of all these guys. And then, whoa. Oh, goodness. Where did my list go? Okay, there we go. And then I've got these right here. I've got Juju at 14.
You don't even have Diggs on your top 22?
I actually forgot about Diggs. I was about to say, I've got Juju at 14. I've got DJ Moore at 15. AJ Brown at 16. Diggs is supposed to be 17. He should be right there. So I'll actually enter him in.
You faded Mike Evans big time, even more than I did.
Yeah, I did. I think Evans is going to be really, really good, but he scares me. So who is the guy I was saying? Oh, yeah, Stephon.
Diggs. How do you have Evans so low, but you have Tom Brady so high?
I don't know how Brady's going to spread out the ball, and Gronk worries me a little bit. Gronk, I'm worried he could take a lot of goal line targets. And Brady's never been huge on taking shots down the field. He does, but just from me watching him, he seems like he's more the guy who'll throw 10-yard passes. And Evans is the deep ball guy. He's the one who runs for 40 yards.
I agree with you, but I mean, man.
I might have to rework a couple of these because Juju, the more I look at him, the more he scares me. But then after that, I've got Devontae Parker in Miami, Calvin Ridley, Allen Robinson the second, DJ Chark, and finishing with Keenan Allen.
Yeah, I got to put Allen Robinson in. I've been seeing him in the drafts and like almost pulling the trigger on him, but then going with OBJ.
Mm-hmm. I think Amari Cooper, going back to the best ball thing again, like Amari would probably make a good best ball pick because he's gonna he will have blow up games where he's like 200 yards and 2 or 3 touchdowns. But the thing that scares me about drafting him in a season long league is so I pulled it up October 13th against the Jets, 2 targets, 1 catch, 3 yards. 3 yards. November 24th at New England, 2 targets, 0 catches, 0 yards. December 15th against the Rams, 2 targets, 1 catch, 19 yards. And then actually, let's see, even against Philadelphia, he had 12 targets, but he caught 4 balls for 24 yards. So he's just so, and he's been that way. Like he was that way in the first season when he got to Dallas too. So he, like, I need to think more about him for best ball leagues, but for season long leagues, he scares me.
Well, what do you think about this? Just kind of looking at the splits here. I know you got to go soon. Sorry, bud. I hope we're not holding you back. Let me see. Shoot, where's the? Oh, okay. So if you look at this, the splits for the Cowboys, their home games, because he always does better in their home games, I think, right?
Yeah,
doesn't
typically,
he?
yeah.
Cooper?
Yeah.
So they got a pretty decent schedule now. They got the 49ers, Cardinals, Steelers. Like that actually really just the 49ers. And I don't know how you guys feel about the Cardinals. I think they're going to have a pretty good defense. But maybe just these 3 right here.
I think the Browns could be tough too because they have a good pass rush, which could cause a lot of problems for Dak Prescott, especially since they lost Travis Frederick, which probably worries me the most.
Yeah. And the, the Ravens, but that's a pretty easy schedule for Cooper.
Get Redskins, Giants, and Eagles twice, and then Falcons, who still we don't know what they're doing. Vikings lost Xavier Rhodes. I think, and Bengals probably won't be that good either. I think the Rams might be tough because they still have Jalen Ramsey, who could be blanketing Cooper, which could be a big Gallup game. But yeah, this isn't a horrible Cooper schedule.
I'm gonna have to start thinking about Cooper, especially like you said, Jared, in best ball. That's a really good point.
It's a different strategy.
Well, do you want to show us your tight ends before you go, AJ?
Me? Yeah. I did not type all of them up, but long story short, it's basically Kelsey at number 1. I've got Kittle at number 2. Actually, let me just grab and show you the 6 that I have typed up right here. It's Kelsey at number 1 because obviously. It is Kittle at number 2, Ertz at number 3, Andrews at number 4,
okay.
Darren Waller at number 5, and Hunter Henry at number 6. And then after that, I think I've got Evan Ingram, even though I was debating dropping him just because he hurt me. So I still don't feel great about him. And then after that, then after that, I had Austin Hooper and Hayden Hurst.
Interesting.
And then Eric Ebron following them. And then after that, I kind of just jumbled down into the Hawkinson area. It's like guys I'm not super confident about. Gesicki's up there, but yeah.
See, I sat there staring at Hunter Henry just sitting on the draft board throughout the 10th to 15th rounds, and I kept wanting to take him, but every time he kept dropping, I kept thinking, just second guessing myself. What do they know that I don't? I don't know. I really like Hunter Henry this year. I'm starting to wonder why everybody hates him. Other
Injuries,
than you,
man.
AJ.
Injuries. Which honestly, for a lot of people, I bet that he was their version of Evan Ingram. Honestly, because he'd be out for multiple weeks at a time. But yeah,
Jared, you're really low on Henry, aren't you?
Yeah, I just don't know how. Like, I think he may not have dramatically different numbers than in past years. But I think for me, the thing is just, I don't know what he's going to do. What it's going to be like with a new quarterback, the injuries, and really it's more about the fact that I just like certain other guys more around that spot than or later. Like if I feel like I can get a guy, like Hayden Hurst, I think let's see where Hunter Henry went in my season long league that I drafted. So Hunter Henry went at the bottom of round 6 in that league.
That's high
for a guy who's basically averaged playing about 13 games each year of the seasons that he has played. He missed the whole 2018 season. So he's never had more than 652 yards. He did have 8 touchdowns his rookie season, but Mike Williams coming in, now he's more of, a red zone target. So and Henry had 55 receptions last year. I think you can get guys with higher ceilings in later rounds. So it's not that I really hate Henry, or it's not that I feel like he's going to drop off necessarily. I think the tight end landscape around him has changed more, and he's basically stayed about the same of where he is, while other guys have had more of an opportunity to rise up above him.
All right. Well, I think that pretty much. I want to come back to yours, Jared, and kind of. There's a couple of things I saw that I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Do you still have a little more time, or you got to go, AJ?
I got to head out. I think I pushed my window far enough. I will listen to you guys, though.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you sticking with us.
Yeah, of course. I will see you guys. Are we doing it Saturday or?
Yeah.
What are we doing? We're still there?
As far as I'm concerned, I'm cool.
All right, cool. I will be back.
All right.
That's Saturday then. Adios, people.
All right.
Adios. Thanks for joining us.
Yep. All right, let's see. Yeah,
bring up yours again.
Let me pull mine back up. Should be. I'm not sure if you have to. Let's see. I think you may have to. Maybe you have to click on, because I'm not signed in as an admin. So I shared it, but you may have to click it. So there we go. So I think we left off talking. Yeah. So I was arguing for Travis Kelce again. Like, I think Travis Kelce at 10 is completely legitimate. The one that I could definitely understand people quibbling on is putting Lamar in at 12. But my reasoning on that is when we start getting down to that next level of running backs, where all the guys up to that point, I feel good about, they're either the workhorse guy for their team or in the case of Kamara, he may have to split with Murray some, and he has to contend with Taysom Hill, but the talent and the offense that he's in is just too good to not. But when we get to the next point, to me, here it's where you get to so many question marks with guys. Joe Mixon, he's going to do well, I think, but they play in such a tough division. He's never been really a much of a scorer so far. I mean, he had his second year, he had 9 touchdowns. But we're, so far Mixon has not had 1,200 yards rushing. He's not hit double-digit touchdowns. And he's going to have a rookie quarterback in a tough division. So so guys like that. So there's him, same thing with Miles Sanders. Like the Eagles like to use committees. I have trouble trusting that. Austin Eckler, I went back and he's a good dual threat, but he doesn't get a ton of, he's not like a constant, he doesn't get a lot of 100-yard rushing games. He really kind of makes his living off those catches.
He gets chunk plays. Like he'll get a big play on a catch or something, but you're right. He's not a grinder.
Yeah. I already talked about my concerns with Chubb, some of these other guys. So Lamar at 12 with that schedule and having Jacksonville in week 15. I mean, it's just like when I started thinking about like who's the safest pick, like all of these other guys, like I can see, but Lamar, if injuries don't happen, like it's hard for me to see him not doing well, so that's probably too high for him. But, a lot of the, Yahoo analysts or other guys have him around 20 to 25. So it's not that crazy,
No, it's not.
So that would be.
I actually looked for him in the second round and I was just too low, like at 7th pick.
Mm-hmm.
So second round, I came around at what, 3rd or 4th, something like that, or 10.
So you would have been at 13 or 14 in the second round. Yeah, if you had the 7th.
Right, and somebody's already taken him. So that goes to your 12th pick.
In our best ball, do you remember where he went? Third. He went 3rd because I had the 2nd pick and I took Saquon, and then the next guy behind me took Lamar Jackson. So it's probably too high considering the trend we've seen. If he didn't have that schedule and he didn't have Jacksonville in week 15, but my goodness, like if you look at what he did last year and then another year to grow. They just improved their running backs. They, their receivers are all young. They're going to improve, and the schedule. It's hard not to want to take him really high.
Yeah, I think what I'm going to do, and maybe we can talk about it on Saturday, is I think we should do another draft on Saturday and look at our rankings, and we have to go by our rankings, because I'm going to make something like this, but with tiers.
Mm-hmm.
So at least, actually, probably just do it the first 10, second 10, just by 10, by 10s to kind of see like what round I'm in, where should I take this person. But yeah, it's gonna be tough, because I'm gonna want to put Lamar high, and I don't know if I don't. So he's gonna be consistent and he's gonna do well. But will he do better than like Josh Jacobs? Josh Jacobs could easily get, 20 to 30 points. No. I think he's going to have as many yards as Josh Jacobs.
Well, what you have to do is, and actually this is, I think, part of I forgot to mention this. This is actually kind of key to the whole part of it. But, I think you have to draft people based on like how much better they're going to be than the next guy, So last year, and we saw from, the previous year where Patrick Mahomes had, like 425 points, and then he dropped off to like 292 last year. So there's no guarantee that Lamar does what he did last year again. But last year he had 421 points. I think he's got the potential to do that again, if he doesn't get hurt. So that's a significant gap over the next kind of, like, Dak was number 2 last year at 348. Everybody else, there were a few other guys in the 330s, and then everybody else was like 297 or below. You start looking at running backs, you had McCaffrey at 413, again, just a runaway thing. And then Jones and Henry and Ezekiel Elliott all kind of grouped together. Dalvin Cook would have kind of been there at like 290 something. But then most running backs then kind of start falling into like 260, 240, 230. The gap is not quite as big,
Yeah.
And not only is the gap not quite as big, but then, it's harder, I think, to predict, like, who in there, is it going to be Miles Sanders this year? Is it going to be Todd Gurley having a resurgence this year? Is it going to be Melvin Gordon getting a bigger role in Denver than we expect and playing above his draft spot? It's just, it's hard to predict.
So what do they call it? The replacement value, though, is not only is he going to have more than Miles Sanders, but is he going to have more than the margin between him and Miles Sanders and the margin between who do you got here? Like, if you go a little bit further down, who's your next? Let's just say, who's the Lions quarterback?
Stafford.
So is he going to have a much bigger margin between Stafford and Miles Sanders? You know what I'm saying? So, like, if Stafford has 26 points a game, and Lamar has 30 points a game, like, you could have gotten Josh Jacobs, you couldn't have gotten Josh Jacobs if he's DeAndre Hopkins has 18 points a game, and instead you have to settle for the next round of, running back.
Yeah. The thing for me, I guess, is, like, if I took Lamar in the second round, say, for example, like, I feel better that I'm getting a much better player with him over, a lot of the other guys. I do think Dak will have a good year. I think, like, Josh Allen has the potential to have a good year. But, like, with those running backs, I guess a lot of it comes down to my uncertainty over those running backs. Like Jacobs is, which I do, and which I have Josh Jacobs ranked, above him. So I don't know if Jacobs is the best, but, like, okay, but let's say Miles Sanders, or Joe Mixon. I'm still going to try to come out of the first 5 rounds or 6 rounds with 3 or 4 running backs. Do I really feel that much better about Joe Mixon than, say, I do Chris Carson in the 4th round, or Devin Singletary, or even in some ways guys like David Johnson or James Conner, so part of it is, like, who I feel most confident and safest about. But it's tough, because it's tough for quarterbacks or any player to replicate what they did before.
Yeah.
And, you've got guys this year like Dak or Josh Allen even that could come along. Allen's a dual threat type guy. He doesn't have Lamar's speed, but maybe he could turn in a Lamar-like year. So it's tough.
That's what I'm banking on. Yeah, it is tough, but I do agree that the thing is about Lamar is that he's going to average at least 50 yards a game
Mm-hmm.
running.
Yeah.
You know, all-purpose yards, he'll probably average close to 400 yards a game, you know?
Right. Right.
Or 300 to 400 just all-purpose yards. And that's really hard to replicate from any of those other guys. Maybe Josh. Nah, I mean, it's funny because Josh Allen, he might come him or trying to think of some of those other running guys like your guy.
Daniel Jones.
Yeah, Daniel Jones might.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the running possibility. You know, the running yards per game.
What kind of scares me about Allen is Allen. He rushes for like he had 631 in his rookie season, and he had 510 in his 2019 campaign, but he had 8 touchdowns rushing in 2018, and he had 9 in 2019.
That's coming down.
That's coming down, and we've seen what happened to Cam. And so my fear with Allen is he's not really picking up that many. I mean, he's getting for a quarterback a lot of rushing yards, but you know, he's not flirting with like, you know, 700, 800, 900 yards. I mean, it's probably going to keep coming down. And, you know, now with Zach Moss, maybe they start giving him the ball on the goal line more. So touchdowns are just they're going to come back to earth. And that's part of the reason I don't like Aaron Jones as much this year. So touchdowns scare me. Whereas with Lamar, you know, the yards are going to be there.
Yeah, you're right.
So
you're right.
I wouldn't take, I mean, I'm going to draft a ton of leagues like I always do. I don't know what percentage I'll take him in, but I'm more interested to see in auction drafts.
How much he goes for.
How much he goes for, because that might be a place where I would be more likely, because it is tough to burn a second round pick on him in fantasy or in snake drafts.
Redraft, yeah.
Yeah. But in an auction draft, you know, depending on what he goes for, and plus you can alter the rest of your team, you know, based on how much you spend on certain positions. And maybe you're able to get some great values at receiver and, you know, things like that. So you've got more flexibility to work with there in auction drafts. So, yeah.
Well, let me ask you a question. Are you more likely to draft Lamar if you are early in the draft or late? So say you have the first pick and you have Christian McCaffrey on the turn. Are you more likely to come back and get Lamar, or are you going to try to get more like depth at running back?
If he was there at that point, I would for sure take him. I mean, because especially if, you know, he's going like early, typically right now, like early second round and stuff. So if I had the first or second pick and he's there at like 19 or 20, I would for sure, you know, take him at that spot. Because then
he hasn't been there though. You're right.
He just hasn't been there. Yeah. I mean, people are taking him at 3, you know, so
that was a little absurd. Though,
that was a little absurd. Yeah. So, but you know, you could almost just, I guess, depending on that guy's strategy, and I don't remember the rest of his team, but he could almost just maybe like draft one more quarterback. He could draft one more quarterback and then just hope Lamar doesn't get hurt. And then you really don't have to like rotate quarterbacks in, because he's normally going to be your top guy, you know. So
that is true. But so the question to me is, let me share my thing. The question is,
sorry.
No, it's fine. I can just switch. You leave it up. Okay. What was I going to say? The question is, so for best ball, is there something particularly helpful about having Lamar? I was trying to think, did he take him third because it was best ball? He took him with his third pick, and then he comes back.
He still took Matt Ryan. Yeah,
interesting. Took Matt Ryan and Kirk Cousins.
See, now he messed up because, like, look, his number 2 running back is Jordan Howard. You know,
yeah.
And
this is not good.
this is not Adrian Peterson and Damian Harris. Like, no, this guy didn't come out with some strategy that we're going to sit here and go, oh my gosh,
Nah, you're right.
mind blown of how smart this guy was.
He does have some good defenses, but his tight ends are abysmal. Oh my gosh.
And his receivers aren't, I mean, Tyrell Williams is his number 3 receiver. I mean, really Gallup probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
That's not bad. I don't mind his wide receivers as much, especially since he has so many.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just running backs. I mean, I don't even know how many games Matt Breida is going to play. He's going to be contending with. He's got Jordan Howard and Matt Breida. That's interesting.
That's not a terrible, like we talk, like we were talking about with like handcuffs. But the problem is, and I've seen in, I think it's our best ball draft and maybe that other one that I did too, of people taking like Jonathan Taylor and Marlon Mack. And I guess you're hoping, that one of them has a bigger game, but I mean, it's possible, but they may just largely be limiting each other, It
seems to me if I were to go with that, I would take Aaron Jones and maybe the rookie. I forget what his name is.
AJ Dillon, I think it is.
Dillon. I would take Dillon or Jamal Williams.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like Matt Breida and Jordan Howard are going to be fighting over a tiny bone, I don't know.
Right. Who gets that 55 yards and, a reception from, wow, that guy's in a tough spot with his running backs.
I mean, any of these guys get hurt, he's screwed. Well, I guess you only have to have 2.
You do. I mean, but
it's interesting.
Interesting.
He is going to do well. I mean, it could be real easy though that all 3 of these guys get hurt. I guess that goes for any quarter. Would you go for best ball now that you've done a couple and you've like looked up a little bit of stuff? Would you do more than 3 quarterbacks?
No, I don't see any. I don't see any value in. I think 3. If you've got 3 capable guys, how often is that 4th guy going to put you over the top to make that worth a spot where you could otherwise have another defense or another running back? No, I don't. I wouldn't see any reason to go more than 3.
I think handcuffing though. Going forward, I'm going to start doing more handcuffing for running backs because then you don't have to get as many. You can stick to 5 if you get 2 guys on the same team.
I think handcuffing. I think that's a good strategy. What else was I going to say? I forgot about.
Let's go back to yours. Was it going to be about this?
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I was going to talk about, I was going to talk about like auction strategies where, like say you spend more on Lamar at quarterback. The thing is you can go get like one thing I'm thinking about trying to do, in an auction league this year. I think I kind of did it to a certain extent last year in a league and did well with it. Is not really even. I had one league where it ended up kind of hurting me because my highest pick was Dalvin Cook. And he got hurt towards the end of the year. So I finished in like 2nd place in the league in the regular season standings and then flopped in the playoffs because he was hurt. But I took him as like a 2nd round pick and I just like loaded that team up with like him and lots of 3rd and 4th round picks. I didn't have anyone that was a 1st round value. And even Cook, I think I got, as like a cheap 2nd round value. And so, but you can get guys, if you draft a lot of young guys, then you get a good shot at them emerging. And so, you could draft three receivers like DJ Moore, AJ Brown, Cortland Sutton, three guys like that. And then you could go with running backs like Sanders, Singletary, somebody else that's going in that third or fourth round range. But then, you just, I almost feel like, it's kind of like what we talked about with draft picks of like, you just, the more shots you have at guys in those third and fourth rounds that are going to emerge, that somebody's going to emerge this year and be, like look at last year, Aaron Jones and Derrick Henry were consistently like late third, fourth round picks.
Yep.
And they finished 2-3 in running backs. And so we get into this way of thinking of like, oh my gosh, if someone kind of deviates from what we think would be the expected rankings, like, oh, are you crazy? No, that's not. But then that's the way it always ends up going is, it's like those guys are the ones, you don't know who for sure it's going to be.
I mean, that's why I'm so scared of putting McCaffrey at top because it's just, I just can't imagine that he does it again,
Yeah. If you could trade draft picks, I would probably normally trade my first round pick for sure for
another third,
2 or 3 third round picks. Like that was what let's see, I'm trying to think what it was that I did my 250 league last year. See if I can go back and find this real quick without dragging it out. But that was how I did well in that league, was basically like I traded, let's see, let me just see if I can find it real quick. And then otherwise, if I try to explain it, I'll probably butcher it. Let's see. Here we go. So I had.
You want to share it?
No, because I'm trying to sort through. It's like after the season has lapsed a little bit, then it gets like the screen like gets kind of messy in terms of like your of how the info is structured. So I ended up trading for. I got to find this deal because I got Aaron Jones, Mark Ingram, and Cooper Kupp in the deal. And that was for I remember it now. I traded David Johnson.
Nice.
Because I picked him and then I had because he was fairly cheap, but then I had second thoughts about it. And then I'm like, I think David Johnson's going to have a terrible year. And so I immediately had second thoughts about it. And so I traded him for Aaron Jones, who was and Johnson was like the, 5th overall pick or so, mid first round pick. And so I traded him for Aaron Jones, who was a 3rd, Mark Ingram, who was a 5th, and Cooper Kupp, who I think was a 7th. And I think, all three of those guys finished above David Johnson, So if I could do that with my first round pick constantly, unless I had, maybe I don't know, there might be some guys that I would occasionally keep, but the more that I could like trade for stuff like that, like I would do that all the time.
That was good. And that's how I've seen, like watching you throughout the season. You're a good drafter, but you're exceptionally good at getting good deals too. I don't know how you do it.
Well, and that's why I probably won't play a ton of best ball, is because I don't think I'm as good at drafting as I am at playing the waiver wire and making trades with people. So I've drafted a couple of best ball teams just because there's nothing else to do right now. Yeah. And I wanted to try it. And plus, it is kind of nice to have some that you won't ever have to, mess with during the seseason.
And you can still watch them.
And you can still watch them. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
It's like a mock draft that plays itself out.
Right, kind of is. Yeah. Basically that is what it is. So but it really is like that's where I do well is like being able to adjust, and basically and like that's like that's almost like just from life, like where everything just constantly goes wrong, and I've had to constantly adjust to different things, and and working in the newspaper industry too, where you've got to put out a paper every day and a game might get rained out or whatever. And so you've got to constantly be able to adjust because it's still got to get done one way or the other. And so I think that's where like life trauma and professional experience has served me well because it's like, okay, plans A through Y failed. All right, let's go to plan Z, and I think, and some people have a harder time with that. It's just like if plan A or maybe plan A and B fail, it's just like, oh my gosh, all right, I give up. Whereas I'm competitive. I don't want to get beaten by it, so it's like, oh, okay. So I've had the deck stacked against me. I want to show that I can still come out on top. So
yeah, that's the hardest thing I have is I get married to certain ideas and I'll go down with my ship. I don't care. I'll lose money. I don't care. My idea was more important than winning.
That's funny. See, yeah, I am polar opposite. Like if I see like, again, because that league, I drafted James Conner, that league I was talking about, my 250 league, where I won first place in it. So I won 1250, and that was really what gave me most of my winnings.
Nice.
I drafted James Conner and I drafted David Johnson, and I immediately had second thoughts about him. I was like, what did I do? What did I do? And so I traded, I told you about the Aaron Jones, or I traded David Johnson for that one. And then the other one was I traded Connor and Austin Eckler and got Christian McCaffrey.
Man.
And so,
man.
And so that was immediately like, that was after the draft. Like, I mean, we did this like probably in July, and it was before we even got out of July. So if I think I've made a mistake on something, like I'm not too prideful to be like, okay, that was stupid. I'm immediately reversing course on that. So,
yeah. Well, speaking of that, I wanted to get you and AJ's help on something. Unless do you have anything else you want to talk about your rankings?
Let me just glance down. I think that was really it. I explained why Chubb kind of scares me.
But you still have him decently high. I was actually thinking you'd have him much lower.
Well, it's really more to do with
who's behind him. Like
it's really just not having that much confidence in most of it. Like
Carson, though, I thought you'd have Carson above him.
No, I won't go into all the reasons on that, but I still like Carson, but I think Chubb has more potential, a higher ceiling. Let's see if there's anything. Yeah, I don't think there was really.
Okay.
Yeah, there's not really anything else interesting.
Well, MathQuest said, which NFL rookies have the most fantasy football upside? We've talked extensively about that, but kind of at this point, have any of your thoughts changed on Swift or Taylor or Tua, maybe, or
no,
Burrow, maybe? I saw Burrow. I almost drafted him in the redraft because I was like, he might have some big games. I mean, in the best ball.
Yeah, not really. They haven't. None of the rookie receivers. Maybe Justin Jefferson in Minnesota because of the volume he's going to get potentially. But the quarterbacks don't. It's very difficult for a rookie quarterback to make an impact in something like, and I'm talking about like a 10-team league, maybe a 12-team league. If you're playing in a deeper league, that would be probably the thing to tell us. Like if it's a really deep league, then I don't mind going deeper into some of these guys who could make an impact. But in like a 10-team league, there just aren't many rookies that I feel like are going to make enough of an impact to really be a starter for you, somebody to come out of the draft with. I think the guys that, it would be some of these rookie running backs. And even then, I don't like them. I don't think you can trust them the way some of the Matthew Berry's and Andy Barron's and Jake Seeley's have them ranked. I think they've got them, most of those ranked too high. Jonathan Taylor is an interesting one because Marlon Mack stays hurt a lot. The Colts have a top offensive line. They've got Phillip Rivers. They've got, some good receivers. Taylor he's got the potential to, especially if Marlon Mack went down early or went down for an extended period of time, to just be a monster. So I can justify Taylor. But really after that, I don't trust Swift quite as much to really, that Lions backfield is always a mess. I'm not convinced that CEH is going to,
that's what I was going to ask you about.
Yeah. I think Damian Williams is still going to be there getting touches. So really after that, I think I start then looking to places like the Rams where maybe Cam Akers takes over that job, or Tampa Bay where Keyshawn Vaughn, if he can jump Rojo. So I think
that's probably good. That's probably the first place you want to go.
Yeah. So I think you almost have to kind of look at situation more than like talent or where they were drafted.
Absolutely. That's a good segue into what I was going to bring up is in my Dynasty League, we just had our rookie draft, and I took P. Ryan and I took Fromm. I had two third round picks because I had traded away everything else. And I might have a fourth round coming up. But so this is my team. I got Dax. Rex Burkhead wasn't in there. Instead of Rex Burkhead, it should be you'll see lower on my bench I have Melvin Gordon. So I'm a lot weak on running back. And wide receiver's not great either. I have Fitzpatrick I can put in for Brissett, drop Brissett, and go get somebody else. But man, I'm even on my bench. I've got Melvin Gordon I'm going to put in.
Oh, wait. Go back up to your quarterbacks again. But you've got Brissett in your starting lineup?
Yeah, I'm going to drop him.
Yeah, because
I'm going to put Fitzpatrick in there instead. And try to trade for somebody else. But man, it's tough to trade. Like they want some pretty. I'm just hoping some of these guys.
Man, how many? These are.
I got Hayden Hurst, so that's good. What?
How many spots do you have on your bench?
It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like 15.
Holy cow!
So 20 maybe 20.
Is there even a waiver wire?
I mean, the waiver wire is terrible. I don't know if I can get
that is way too many bench spots. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's tough. It's like the waiver wire is pathetic.
Yeah, I mean there would just be nobody out there.
Let's see.
I like that little like nuclear radiation glow there.
Yeah, I can't see it. It's meant to be on your phone.
Okay.
But yeah. This is where Edelman is. He's in that league, and that's this guy I want to have on. That's Julian Edelman's cousin.
Interesting.
So yeah. Anyways, do you think Fromm could be of any value to me? Let me go back to my picks.
I mean, it's possible. Just thinking about what the rest of the waiver wire looks like. I mean,
yeah, there's nobody.
I can't imagine that there would be any point in dropping him. I mean, Josh Allen's a running quarterback. Jake Fromm's a fifth round pick, so we don't know that he's going to make the team.
Yeah.
He could end up in another scenario, but I mean, I think he can beat out Matt Barkley. And so if he beats out Matt Barkley, then you are the backup behind a mobile quarterback who's, And let's be honest here, Josh Allen doesn't seem. He actually, I think, did pretty well on the Wonderlic. Which
Really?
yeah, I think. Let's see. Let me double check that.
Oh, I still got to take that.
Yeah, you got to take that. I think he actually did surprisingly well. He had a 37. He had a 37, which is very good.
What's the highest?
I think the highest is a 50.
Oh, that's high.
So, but Josh Allen on the field, he just doesn't look that bright. I don't know. Anyway, but he's a mobile. He's a mobile quarterback. I think he just gets into like, I'm gonna grind out these extra yards or whatever. I can easily see him getting hurt. So if Fromm makes the team as the backup, I mean, he's in a golden position there to potentially get in there and start, because there's always the chance that Allen's going to get a concussion or something and miss time. So, yeah, I think he could be. I think if he does come in, it's going to be – he's not going to be like balling out for 350 yards and 3 touchdowns. They would probably try to ride that defense. But considering what else you've got out there on the waiver wire, which is nothing, it's, you might as well hang in there with them.
Interesting. I was looking up Wonderlic scores here. I want to see what Jones is.
Which one? Daniel Jones?
Daniel Jones. Yeah.
I don't remember his.
Where do they have him listed?
I just have to Google them sometimes.
Oh, Daniel Jones, actually 37th. Interesting.
Yeah.
He got a. Oh, did he get a 37? I don't know.
That's what it looks like.
Daniel Jones got a 37 as well?
That's what it looks like, yeah.
Him and Josh. Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. Because they kind of seem like the same guy to me.
Yeah. What's interesting is like guys like Peyton and Drew Brees actually didn't do that great on it. They were both in the 20s. Peyton, I think, was 28, and I want to say Drew Brees was like 27. I looked at this the other day. Oh no, Drew was 28 too.
Kyler only got a 20.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray. And it's interesting. Like the people that got really high, Gardner Minshew got a 42.
Yeah, that's surprising.
I don't even know who Easton Stick is.
Yeah, I don't remember who he is.
Clayton Thorson. Or Stacy McSorley. That rings a bell though. Stacy McSorley.
That does sound a little familiar. Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird test. In some ways.
Now I'm curious.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Well, I don't have very much more. I'm ready to go to bed. How about you?
Same.
All right. Well, that was fun. I enjoy it. Like I really am starting. I feel like I'm all the way back now for fantasy. Not all the way back, but after doing that draft,
yeah,
I feel good.
Good. I'm so itching to draft a real season long team, but I don't know. I don't know if they're going to. I hope they open up pay leagues in June when the others are set to let you draft again. But as of right now, when you do get a team, it still just gives you free league, custom, or best ball. Yeah. So, but maybe they will, because I mean they're taking people's money for best ball. So,
yeah, I wondered why best ball, because what is it about best ball that's less risk?
maybe it's the. I don't know if they have to put more manpower into the season-long draft leagues because they do have to veto trades and stuff like that. I don't know. That's a good question. I'm not sure if there would be anything beyond that. But come on, Yahoo.
Yeah.
I need to draft season-long teams.
We got an itch, and I've got a fever, and it can only be cured.
Oh gosh, auction's really what I want to do, and I think they don't. Yeah. They normally don't open those up until August.
Later.
Ah, that sucks. I really want to do an auction league.
Well, it might be a blessing in disguise. If NFL is delayed, at least we'll have, we can get we can get in some more drafts and stuff in August. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you everybody thank you Math Quest for your question. Thank you everybody for tuning in. We just want to tell you that I don't know.
I thought that was going to be your thing where you pretend like you're going to say something and then you cut it off.